Welcome back to Mile High Hoops. Today we're talking about the Phoenix Suns. And before we go anywhere, I got to start with talking about Robert Sarver. I think he's a disgusting pig, and it is good that the NBA is slowly starting to weed these guys out of the league. There's just no place for anybody like this in the NBA, or, I mean, in general, anywhere. But it's good that these guys are slowly starting to get kicked out and facing some real issues with it. It started all with the Clippers owner years ago, David Stern, but it's good that this guy's getting out. But besides that, our AI image generated theme today is a throwback to Bleacher Report's Game of Zones. And so we will have the Phoenix Sun Kings. I do think that these pictures came out better than a lot of the previous ones, and these are all pretty sick. Uh, so with that, like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we got to start with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is 37, and last season he played 65 games for the Suns and all of their playoff games. So I mean, they got about as much out of Chris Paul as they could last season. It's just he's on contract for 3 more seasons. After this upcoming season, the next two are not fully guaranteed, but it's still a lot of money on a 39-year-old at that point in time. But Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul. I mean, he's going to run pick and rolls to the highest level in the league. He's going to be finding open shooters, open roll man. I mean, he's finding open people wherever, and he's always going to be hitting those little mid-range jumpers, those close-range jumpers, floaters, everything like that. It's just every time I see Chris Paul jump or explode to the rim or anything, or towards the rim, not to the rim. He doesn't jump that high, but you kind of grit your teeth and just hope the best for him. I think Chris Paul's got maybe another season or two of being good, and then after that, it's going to be a downhill run. So we'll have to wait and see. I think if the Suns have another bad season, where they get into the playoffs and just get mollywopped by someone, I would expect that they would maybe try to look to move off of Chris Paul to try to get a little bit younger. But we'll definitely have to wait and see. For DeAndre Ayton, I was the first guy to say, like in college in his first couple seasons, like he just never gets the ball thrown to him, and so like people are always asking for more out of Ayton, but like he'll be he'll have like a guard sealed, and someone will just shoot the ball instead of giving him the ball. It was a nightmare to watch him play in college, especially. Like I was watching Arizona games with my dad. I remember this, and Aiton would have like a 6'2" skinny little white guy behind him, and we're just sitting there yelling at the TV like, dude, throw him the ball. All he's gonna do is turn around and just dunk all over this guy's face, and they just wouldn't do it. And I see it happen with the Suns too a little bit. Definitely not as much, but holy cow, he'll be right underneath the rim with a tiny dude on him, and they won't give him the ball. And all I'm saying is like I expect that now that Aiton's on this big new deal that he got since the Suns matched the Pacers offer of like the max that they were able to give him. Um, I think he's gonna slowly start to get a bigger role in this team. I think he should. I think he's got all the skills to be able to do it. I mean, he can shoot from mid pretty decently. He finishes at the rim pretty well. He has a big, giant frame, so he's pretty solid low post defense. He definitely needs to work on pick and roll coverages, but I think Aiton's really good. I think he's going to keep improving, and he needs to get the ball a little bit more. He's kind of getting some Rudy Gobert treatment a little bit, and it's tough to see. Now to Devin Booker. I don't know why Devin Booker has like dreads in his, but whatever. Uh, Devin Booker played most of the games for the Suns last season. It was 68, but I think Devin Booker is. I mean, he's slowly improving each and every season. He averaged 26.7 for them last season, shooting 38 from three and getting 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I think Devin Booker, like, for him to completely reach the ceiling of what he could be, I think he really needs to just become better on defense. I mean, he's okay since he's like so athletic, but I mean, he could do so much better on keeping guys in front of him on the perimeter, and even like going through screens and stuff. It seems like he kind of just dies on them. Um, but other than that, I mean, Devin Booker is an absolute force on offense at this point. I mean, he pulls up from three in transition. He gets to the rim and he can finish with both hands. He can finish with floaters. Um, he can play above the rim quite a bit. He shoots free throws really well. Devin Booker's just solid, and there's not a lot more you can ask out of him. Now, onto Mikhail Bridges. I think Mikhail Bridges is like this team's X factor. I look to him to be the guy that, like, if he improved like marketably on offense, then this team would be on a whole nother level. He did play 82 games last season, which is pretty incredible, especially for a guy that plays the way that he does, where he's just a clamp on defense, plays above the rim on offense, shoots the good threes. I mean, he shot 37% from three last season. He's the best defensive player on this team by a landslide. Probably one of the top 10 defensive wings in the league. And since he can shoot so well, and I mean, he does everything on the court pretty well. His assist numbers could go up a little bit at 2.3, but I think really for Mikhail, just being a little bit more aggressive on offense would go a long ways for him. If he took that step offensively where he could create a little bit more and then look for his own shot off of drives and everything, I think this team could really see new heights, especially with Mikhail getting a lot better. Um, that's pretty much all he needs to work on. I mean, he's already a very well-rounded player. Now we're gonna rapid fire some of the rest of these guys. First, Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne looked amazing the season before last in the playoffs, and when he was on the court instead of Chris Paul, I mean the Suns had like a different dynamic on offense where like they had this attacking guard that could also hit some threes that people just weren't able to stop, and it really changed the way their offense ran. And then last season, he was unplayable in the playoffs. I don't know what happened to him, but he just was completely useless in defense. He was getting just blown by, and he's just not going to fill this backup point guard role well enough for them. Now, Landry Shamet has been tossed around more than the Jenners around Devin Booker and Ben Simmons, but I think he's kind of gotten the short end of the stick as far as just getting moved every time a team makes a trade. But I think it's because, I mean, he's a good shooter. He isn't great on defense, but he's okay. And he does everything you kind of need a bench shooting guard to do at a decent enough level. And so I feel like whenever a team makes a trade, they're like, "Hey, take this guy that can shoot threes," kind of, and people just accept it. And so I think that, Landry definitely needs a little bit better of a run, but he did play 21 minutes for them last season. As far as the playoffs go, though, he only played 16. Now, Jay Crowder, he tweeted something about him skipping Suns training camp and then deleted it. I don't know how important that is since Sarver got dealt with, but if he's there, I mean, he's a switchable defender that can shoot threes. That's about all. Now, the Suns signed Damian Lee from the Warriors this last offseason. And, Damian Lee, he can shoot threes pretty well. He's pretty inconsistent, but when you did need him to make it, he would make it. Defensively, he was basically a traffic cone, but he's this tiny guard, and I think he'll be okay for them. He won't play a lot. Suns also signed Josh Okogie. I think this is a pretty non-factor of a move. He's a shooting guard that can defend, that can't shoot. That's about as much as it goes. He just needs to be able to shoot. He's only 23, so I mean, if he gets with the right coaches, that can be fixed. But it's not looking good for him in his career so far. Now, for the Suns in general, I mean, I think they definitely took a step back this last season, or from last season. I mean, they re-signed DeAndre Ayton when they really didn't want to, and I mean, they didn't really gain any new guys to get any better. They lost JaVale McGee. They don't really have a backup big that's worth being able to play in the playoffs. And with Chris Paul aging, I mean, things aren't looking too great for them from here, especially with like the turmoil in their front office. I mean, if a new face steps in the front office as ownership and can turn the ship around a little bit, I think they have good young players. They have Chris Paul, who's definitely aging quite a bit. But I think that last playoff run was kind of like a big old punch in the face, and they won't really respond all that well to that. So I think they're going to be more of like 3 or 4 seed this season. I probably said that for like 6 teams at this point. But anyways, I don't think they're going to be 1 seed again, win 60 something games. I think they're going to win about 50, and they're just one bad Chris Paul injury away from being quite a bit worse. But I think they'll get into the playoffs. They'll probably lose to like the Mavericks again or something and get punched in the face by Luka. But regardless, I think they're good and they're in a decent spot, but could be better. But thank you again for listening. Please like, subscribe, post down in the comments what you'd like to see in the next one as far as the AI generated images are, and as well as what team you'd like to see. But thanks again. Yeah, have a good one. Bye.